What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to look at the Plague Doctor in patch 3.0. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not it was buffed or nerfed, and I think a lot of that discussion stems from the poor wording that they used in the patch notes. But we're going to break down the numbers and find out once and for all if it is buffed or nerfed. The first bullet point, and the one that's causing the most confusion, says activation of periodic effects per second changed from 1 to 2.5. So this is essentially saying every tick that's happening within the second, and a tick is the amount of damage that's being produced, has gone up. A lot of people are taking this the wrong way. So the damage from the trap has been reduced, but the amount of times that the trap activates has gone up. So the previous Plague Doctor used to have one tick every 1 second. This is now increased 2.5 times. So this will be a tick every 0.4 seconds. Now that we know that, let's look at the DPS. So looking at it from a damage per second perspective, the pre-patch Plague Doctor had a tick every 1 second. It did 120 damage every single tick, theoretically putting it at 120 damage per second. With the new Plague Doctor, the tick rate is 0.4 seconds, the new damage is 50, theoretically putting it at 125 damage per second. Now this is where it gets confusing, because you can't really look at it from a damage per second perspective, because the ticks aren't even. With the previous patch, every 1 second, damage was coming out. Now, with the new Plague Doctor, it's happening every 0.4 seconds. So we're going to look at it from a tick perspective, and it should clear up all of the confusion. Okay, the left side is pre-patch, the right side is post-patch Plague Doctor. Now, technically, the pre-patch Plague Doctor did not deal any damage until the enemies were in the cloud for a full second. The new Plague Doctor starts dealing damage at the 0.4 second mark. So pre-patch, theoretically, no damage was being produced prior to 1 second. However, it's really hard to tell that because a second goes by in the blink of an eye. But theoretically, for the first 2 ticks, the Plague Doctor and the post-patch, patch 3.0, does more damage than the pre-patch. However, once you hit the 1 second mark, it does less damage. That's because at the 1 second mark, the new Plague Doctor has gotten 2 ticks off, but it has reduced damage from 120 to 50 a tick, and the old Plague Doctor got its first tick off with the full damage that it was previously at 120 damage. Now once you get to the 1.2 second mark, that allows the new Plague Doctor to have its third tick, meaning it's done now 150 damage. 1.6 seconds, it's now done 200 damage. At the 2 second mark, another tick hasn't happened for the new Plague Doctor, but the old Plague Doctor would have done its second tick by this point, and even still, it's 10 damage less than the new Plague Doctor. So from a numbers perspective, the new Plague Doctor is technically stronger except for 1 point, but you have to keep in mind for how long the minions are going to stay in the gas. If you don't have any crowd control at all, they're going to breeze through it, so it's not going to do enough damage. If you do have some form of crowd control, they should be taking more damage than previously.